What's up, everybody? Today we're going to start a new series on the Ubiquiti EdgeRouter. And today's episode is going to be how to get from out of the box to the internet in zero config. So hopefully you find it useful. And by the way, I'm just learning to use OBS Studio for my screencast, so have a little leniency on me there. I'm going to try and work out the audio as best as I can. I'm just using my onboard webcam because it seems to work the best from the different methods that I tried, but the audio is not the greatest, so I'm going to try and clean that up as much as I can. But let's get into this. Alright guys, in this first video, what I'm going to teach you to do is simply access the router and get internet connection. And it's surprisingly easier than what you're probably thinking to do. You actually, to get internet access on here, I'm going to teach you the trick to where you don't need to do any configurations. You can get internet access to this router by simply plugging it in, and it's not something that is taught very often or how it is. Okay, I'm going to be using OBS Studio. I'm still learning it, so I'm using my webcam and the sound quality may not be up to standards, so I just wanted to point that out, so hopefully you'll forgive that. But here we go. I'm going to jump into Putty. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the RS-232 adapter, go back on my channel and watch that video. I give a good tip for a good for a good cable adapter to go USB to 232. If all you have is a laptop, you probably don't have a serial adapter on. Most of the new ones don't have that. So if you don't have a serial adapter or port on your computer, then you're going to need an adapter to get it. And I give a good video on a good one that's available on Amazon, relatively inexpensive, that goes USB to serial. Beyond that, you'll just need the actual console cable, which is a serial port to RJ45 that will connect to the console. Now, I believe it's important for you to learn at least to get to the console, because at some point this is the most valuable way to troubleshoot. You can't troubleshoot using the web interface. You can if you know you can get to the router, but if you can't get to the router, you will find it's a lot easier to begin your troubleshooting process if you just console into it. So anyway, I'm going to teach you that from here. I've set this router up. It is a completely default configuration. We're going to log in with UBNT, and the password is UBNT. Okay, and there you go. Now, notice also that in the banner message up here, I want you to take notice that in this banner message, they tell you how to access this router, how the preferred method is. But here's the problem: if your computer is not on this network, you cannot access this router on this IP address. You've got to configure the computer to something on that IP address, but there's another way to do it. So watch this. I'm going to do, just to show you what's going on here, I'm going to do a show interfaces. And you will see that, yes, indeed, on ETH0 they have configured that IP address with a 24-bit mask. You'll see that the status of it is up in that it's configured, it's working. However, the link on it is down, so nothing's plugged in there, nothing's going to go through there. But I want to show you something even more interesting than that. That just shows you show interfaces. If I show you the configuration of this router, which I'm just going to do show configuration, look at this. ETH0 is in fact configured with that IP address, but ETH1 is pre-configured for DHCP. Okay, so armed with that knowledge, you don't have to worry so much about taking a laptop, reconfiguring the network interface to something on this in order to get to. Just plug it in and into your DSL modem or something on your network, but it will pick up a DHCP address just like everything else. So let me quit out of there, and just to prove that, I'm now going to plug it into the back of my DSL modem. Now, it could be your DSL modem, it could be anything else, it could be a cable modem. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. I've now plugged it in, I'm getting blinky lights on the router, and so if I do show interfaces again, oh, look at that. ETH1 was already configured for DHCP, so look what address it picked up. 10.10.10.101 with a 24-bit mask. Okay, that's my internal network, and you can see here that status and link is both up and up. So we know that's working, but do we have internet? Oh, we do. So it was able to pick up all the settings it needed to get internet access simply by plugging the router in. Just by plugging it into the correct port, and we have everything we need. So why is this important? The minute you get the router, I can go in and I can set this router up to retrieve updates and get it all updated without having to do any configurations at all. Now, what if I didn't have a console port to get into PuTTY? How would I know what IP address it grabbed on DHCP? Well, you can go into your DSL modem or whatever the source of your DHCP address is and see what it was assigned. Okay, and grab it that way. But the importance of me telling you this is that you do not need to configure anything at all to access these routers. They are set up to be accessed out of the box. So when people start thinking that, oh, I got to change my laptop network over, I got to disconnect my computer from the network, no, you don't. You really don't. Even if you didn't have access to your DHCP source on your network, you could still scan the network and, with Angry IP or something and find out what that address is. But so now, anyway, now that we know what our IP address is, I'm going to go into my browser. And here we go. We're going to log in with Ubiquiti. And it always is going to give you this message that you're using a default config. Do you want to use a wizard to set this thing up? You know what? Right now I already have internet access, so I don't know what it wants me to set up. I'm going to say no, because I think it's just more important to learn the router to begin with. So you may as well learn and configure the steps from scratch. I don't think you have a whole lot of speed to gain by, in a simple configuration by using a wizard to do it. So anyway, you can see in my dashboard here that I have a 3-port ER Lite. You can see here the addresses, you can see the bandwidth that's going through there. Anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to show in the next episode, going a little bit deeper. But again, just to access the router and get internet access, I wanted to point out and emphasize you do not need to configure anything on these routers. If you plug into the right port on your network, you can access it straight out of the box. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later.